Hello and welcome to the third part of my short session on inclusive leadership in nutshell. This third part is about leadership grid and situation of leadership theories. Leadership grid will help us to understand what style of leadership we have and how we can adjust it. And situation of leadership theory will help us to decide on the best way of leadership depending on the situation we are at. Also, in this part, I will be talking about the broken window theory and how it can be used in our work environment. Sometimes the leadership grid theory also is referred to as the management grid theory. Basically, this theory can be used by leaders or managers to look after their teams and how basically to lead or manage the teams. Also, when we talk about the situation of leadership theory, we are talking about the differences that different leadership styles can have, and all can be effective depending on the situation they are dealing with. So we will look at the dependency of the leadership on the situation. In the broken window theory, we are going to look at some of the past experiences that shows if there are some small issues, better they are fixed in the work environment to avoid a bigger issues happening in the work environment. That I find all these basic theories quite fascinating for leadership and management. Let's get started with Blake-Mouton Managerial Grid. The Blake-Mouton Managerial Grid provides a simple way to understand your leadership or management style. It addresses your weaknesses and then how to make it more effective and how to be a better leader or manager. The Blake-Mouton Managerial Grid has got two dimensions. One is the concern for people, and the other one is the concern for results. And depending on how much basically weighting each leader or manager will put on each, then you will be located in different part of this grid. When we talk about the concern for people, we are talking about the degree to which the leader considers the needs of the team members when deciding how to complete a task. They would consider each person perform different tasks and their interests and personal developments. The other axis is concern for results, which is talking about the degree to which the leaders emphasizes on concrete objectives, deadlines, goals, and high productivity when determining how to achieve a particular task. Blake-Mouton Managerial Grid was basically developed by Robert Blake and Jane Mouton in 1964. Blake and Mouton basically defined five leadership styles based on the concern of the leader for people and concern for the results. These five levels are impoverished style, produce or perish style, middle of the road style, country club style, and team style. When we look at the grid here, it's easy to judge that the team style is the best. Now, every style of leadership has its own place, however. For example, there is a time when producer style is the most appropriate, such as when a business needs to be turned around quite quickly. Now let's have a closer look to this grid and see what each part of this grid basically shows. Let's start with impoverished management style. The impoverished management style is also called the indifferent style. The impoverished manager is the most inefficient manager or leader. This type of leader has low focus on results and low focus on people. This type of leader basically has a low regard for creating systems that can get the job done. And basically, they will have little interest in creating a satisfying or motivating team environment. Therefore, the results are inevitably disorganization, dissatisfaction, and disharmony. This means the results don't meet the standards of the organizations, and the team members are not satisfied either. So let's see, when should we use this style? It's only advisable if you have a highly motivated and competent team members working for you. But you should very rarely use this style of management actually. The next management style is produce or perish management style. The produce or perish style is also called dictatorial style. This type of managers believe basically that their team members are simply means to an end. They are also known as authoritarian managers. This type of leader has a high focus on results and low focus on people. This type of manager is autocratic, only interested in results, has strict work rules, policies, and procedures. They view punishment as an effective way of motivating team members. This approach can drive impressive production results at first, but over time, low team morale and motivation will ultimately affect people's performance as the team members' needs are ignored. And indeed, this type of leaders will struggle to retain high performance and high performer team members in long term. So when do we use this style of management? I guess only we should use it for urgent situations, such as when your organization needs to turn around. A middle of the road or a status quo manager tries to find the middle ground, balance the needs of the organization basically against needs of the team. This type of leader has middle focus basically on the results and middle focus on people. This may look like a happy medium, but this strategy is not as effective as it may sound. Through continuing compromise, basically the leader fails to inspire high performance and also fails to meet people's needs fully. The result is that the team members will likely deliver only mediocre performance actually. So let's see, when do we use this style of leadership or management? I guess this style of leadership or management is only appropriate if you decide to leave one of your teams to their own devices to focus on higher priorities. The country club type of leader is more concerned about the team members' needs and feelings. This type of leader has low focus on results and high focus on people. Your team would love working for you, but your results are getting to suffer if you use this style of leadership or management. The leader assumes that as long as the team members are happy and secure, they will work hard. What tends to be the result is a work environment that is very relaxed and fun, but that work environment suffers from lack of productivity because there is a lack of direction and control. And indeed, your team can end up with little respect for you because your failure to deliver the results in long term. So, when should we use this style of leadership? For example, if your team worked really hard recently and they are in the danger of burnout, so you can use this style. But it is not recommended to use it for long term. Now let's look at the golden spot. Team management style. Team management style is the most effective leadership style. I have to say most of the time. The leader demands good results but also works hard to meet the needs of the team. This type of leader indeed has high focus on results and high focus on people. These type of leaders basically work to achieve long-term success and commit to organization's goals and mission. They motivate the team and work hard to get people to stretch themselves to deliver great results. Basically, someone led by a team manager feels respected and empowered and is committed to achieving the goals. Team managers generally prioritize both the organization's production needs and their people's needs. Remember, personal needs and production generally they overlap. So, now we have an easy question. When should we use this style? The answer is all the time. But I have to add apart from when one of the other styles may be more appropriate for the specific situation that you are dealing with, that we just explained a bit earlier. This creates an environment basically based on trust and let's say respect, which leads to high satisfaction, motivation, and ultimately excellent results. So the key takeaway points is that the Blake Mouton managerial grid helps you to think about your leadership style. Understand the effect of your leadership style on your team's productivity and motivation. And finally, make a plan to address your weaknesses and become a better leader. Now we have $1 million question. What's the best way to lead a group? The answer is not as simple. The answer is that it depends. The best leaders basically analyze the situation and adjust their leadership style. One of the theories that can explain this type of decision making is a situational leadership theory that I'm going to discuss here. As mentioned earlier, the best leaders analyze the situation and then they try to adjust their style of leadership. The fundamental principle of the situation of leadership model is that there is no single best style of leadership. Indeed, the effective leadership is task relevant, and the most successful leaders are those who adapt their leadership style to the performance of the individual or group they are basically attempting to lead or influence. So it depends on which type of leadership and strategies are best suited to their tasks, basically. The most effective leaders are those that are able to adapt their style of leadership to the situation and look at the cues and basically signals such as type of task, the nature of the group, and other factors that might contribute to getting the job done. This theory basically encourages the leaders to choose the leadership style that best fits the goals and conditions and evaluate the development levels of the team members. One good example here is referring to sport teams. Basically, sport teams frequently experience changes due to team members, let's say, coming, going, retiring. This means the strengths and weaknesses of the entire team are constantly changing. Therefore, the coaches need to adapt their strategies, approaches, and leadership style given the variable situation and conditions at hand. The situation of leadership theory was proposed by Paul Hirschi and Ken Blanchard in around 1969. The model that they propose says that there are four types of leadership styles. First one is S1, directing leadership. This type of leadership is associated with autocratic leadership. A directing leader will make all decisions without consulting the team members or subordinates. The leader tells what to do and how to do it. Communication is usually one way, by the leader to the team members, and feedback from the team members is generally discouraged. Then we have S2, which is coaching leadership. With this style, the leader still defines the roles and tasks while they are more receptive of the input and feedback from subordinates. They are also open to suggestions and opinions. The leader here sells the ideas to the subordinates and try to obtain their cooperation. The next leadership style is S3, supporting leadership. Basically, the leader participates in decision making, but most decisions are made by the team. The leaders offer less direction and allow the team members to take a more active role when the supporting leadership style is adopted. Finally, we are to S4 leadership style, which is delegating leadership. Basically, this type of leader is responsible for the team while he or she provides minimal direction and guidance. It's a hands-off leadership style with the group members tend to make most of the decisions. Basically, the leader would emphasize on the vision and leaves to the team members and subordinates to decide how to achieve the vision. The situation of leadership theory also identifies four levels of employees. Basically, these four levels represent the readiness of the team members on how ready a person is to perform a particular task. These four levels of employees also are referred to as development levels. That it has two variables, competence and commitment of the employees. The first one is D1, that in there the employee is considered as enthusiastic beginner. Your team members have low competence but high commitment. Basically, they are inexperienced, but they are enthusiastic. The team shows the willingness, but they are lacking particular skills that are required to complete the tasks. The second level of employees is D2, which is also known as delusioned learners. Basically, your subordinates have some competence. Basically, they have the skills needed to complete the task, but due to some reason, they are unwilling or they have lack of confidence to get the job done. Maybe because the task or the situation is simply new to them. The next level of the employees is D3. In this level, the employees are capable but cautious performers. The team members certainly have high competence, but they have a variable commitment. The member certainly is more than capable to perform the task, but for some reason they are unwilling or again they have the lack of confidence to perform the task. And the last level means D4 level is those employees that they are self-reliant achievers. Basically, your subordinates have high competence and high commitment. Basically, are confident to perform the task and they are committed and take responsibility for the task. By the way, it's important to remember that the development levels that we just mentioned here for employees can change over time. Your team members may be, let's say, at level D1 for the task now, but may develop to level D4 after performing the task several times. And also, development levels are also task specific. What I mean with task specific is that they may have, let's say, the employees may have D4 development level for a particular task that they perform multiple times, but they may be at D1 level for the task which is new to them. So now with the understanding of the development levels of your team members, now you can select the most appropriate leadership style for a particular task. Let's say if your team members have the development level of D1, let's say, for example, means a new employee with low confidence and you're unsure um, about what the person can be doing, you could use you can use the directing style and tell the employee what to do and show the way how to do it. And if your team members, let's say, have the D2 level skills, for example, the employee has been, let's say, on the job for a little while, so could develop some skills and gain some more confidence. You can use coaching style to boost the confidence level of the employee. If the team members, let's say they are on the 3 level, as they develop their skills, they no longer need to be told what to do, but they can completely operate on their own. So you can use supporting style of leadership in this case. And if the team members, they have high competence and high commitment levels, basically the skills they require, they have been fully developed. So there is little need for you to do, and basically you can do delegating. Let's make one example. Let's assume you are just appointed as a manager to a new team working on a new project. In this case, it can be reasonable to categorize, let's say, your team level as D1. So because you are new to the team and the team is new to the project. Thus, this means you can adopt directing a style of leadership in the beginning and tell your team's members basically what you want them to do. While over time you find your team is very skilled but unfamiliar with the type of the project, you assess the team development level, let's say as D3. Then they are capable but cautious employees because the project is new to them. After you made that assessment, you can decide basically to move to supporting leadership style and you encourage the team members to build their confidence. So let's remember the style of the leadership that you can choose based on the Hersey-Blanchard situation of leadership theory depends on two behaviors. Supportive behavior level that you will choose and the directive behavior level that you choose. That these two, the level of each of these behaviors that you will choose depends on the level of the employees that you will have. Here also, I would like to briefly discuss about the broken window theory that I find it quite fascinating and how it can be used to improve our working environment while we are leading a team or managing a team. The broken window theory was introduced in 1982 by social scientists James Wilson and George Kelling. They described the basics of this theory on the basis of how crimes spread in our communities and societies. Basically, they suggest that by targeting minor crimes and helping to create an atmosphere of order and lawfulness by controlling the minor crimes, then we can prevent more serious crimes. Basically, in short, this theory says that if a window in a building is broken and is left unrepaired, then all the rest of the windows will be soon broken. The experiments that James Wilson and George Kelling basically they did shows that this is true in nice and let's say wealthy neighborhoods as in rundown ones. One unrepaired broken window simply is a signal that no one cares. So breaking more windows costs nothing. Some other sociologists have done an experiment also to further prove this broken window theory. They took an old car and just abandoned it in two places in the United States. One is in Bronx in New York and the other one in Palo Alto in California, which is a very wealthy area. The car in the Bronx was pretty much destroyed and stripped with all the valuable items gone in about 24 hours. However, the car sitting in Palo Alto in California sat there untouched for a week. Then a researcher got a sledgehammer and went over to the car and knocked the crap out of the car and broke the windows. Indeed, soon after, people joined in to do further destruction to this car, even in this wealthy neighborhood. So the key takeaway from the broken window theory in terms of the sociology was that the local authorities, if they can't control things like vandalism, let's say on the car which was parked in the street, then how can they control big things like murders and armed robberies and so on? Therefore, they have to start with controlling small crimes, and then this will send the proper message to crime makers. What basically drew my attention to the broken window theory is that the broken window theory also happens in our own life. Take this an example. How many of you basically go to check the mail and you come back from the mailbox and then you are going to throw the mail and then leave it there on the table for a while? So day after day, one piece of mail becomes a pile of mail. Remember, you can think about just one, but remember it's accumulation of ones and gradually when they add up, that then it will cause a physical clutter leading to mental clutter and ultimately stressing you out. So I believe in our daily life, we should be able to find a way to apply broken window theory. So it forces us to think about how to think or improve with the little details of our environment that can lead to more productive spaces, let's say, and how to repair our broken window so that we add meaning to our life. Let's remember about what Liu Bei, the Chinese, well-known Chinese warlord, said. Never fail to do anything good which you deem as petty. Never dare to do anything evil which you consider as trivial. Now let's bring this broken window theory to the context of this session, which is about leadership and management in organizations. How this broken window theory basically can apply to organizations. The key concept of broken window theory is that the small stuff matters a lot. It may seem not a big deal, but things like inefficiencies, for example, or workarounds and no standard processes can just create complete stop downs or basically can block the passes for people and stop them from moving forward. Simply, people can get discouraged and their production starts to go down when there are disrepairs, such as broken equipments or very messy working area, because they don't have the equipment they need to do the work, or it's not very easy for them to find what they want in the working environment. We can also present this broken window theory in terms of the performance. Let's say the poor performance from the low performing people or bad attitudes with no empowerment can create absolute breakdown for the culture in the team or in the company. So my advice here is that look for the broken windows within your organization or team and try to fix them to ensure your team can perform much better. Thank you, and I hope this session could give you some idea about how to understand what is your current leadership style and how you can improve it. And also, through the situation of leadership, you can decide for what situation, what type of leadership could work. And also, I hope that you understand that the small things matter. If there is a small problem, please get it fixed to ensure bigger problems won't happen. Here are the references I've used to prepare the materials for this session that you can use them for your own reading too.